Okay. This is our American Government Project by Renee Howell and
Ainsley Kate Grantham.
all right. So, authoritarianism is in politics and in government is when people blindly obey authority and don't let people think or act freely. Authoritarian regimes are governments that don't give citizens civil liberties or political rights. A single leader or a tiny group of elites holds all the power. They make all the choices without caring what the masses want. Authoritarianism is typically described as the type of administration that isn't democratic. However, there are some research that shows authoritarian governments can be very different from one place to another.
Okay, nationalism is a belief that describes how people feel about their country or ethnic group and how committed they are to it. Nationalism can bring people together or tear them apart. It can help people feel like they belong and create a feeling of community, but it can also cause conflict and leave out minority groups. It includes a variety of points of view, such as primordial primordialism, which sees nationalism as an inherent human tendency to form separate groups based on ethnicity, and modernism, which sees it as a result of modern social systems.
And totalitarianism is a type of government that doesn't allow other political parties or ideas to exist and controls all elements of people's public and private lives. In a totalitarian state, the state has complete power over all of its population. We look at totalitarianism from both a political and a physiological point of view, as well as how common it is in the modern world.
Okay, so in a dictatorship, the ruler has the power to rule without the permission of the people they are ruling. A dictatorship is just simply a system that doesn't follow democracy. Democracy is a type of governance in which people choose who will lead through fall elections. In a dictatorship's power can come from their family, their political position, or their military force.
An autocracy is a type of government where one person or group has all the authority and may do whatever they want. This leader has total authority over the military, the economy, and making laws. At the same time, the leaders are thought to be above the law. People who speak out against the opposition are frequently suppressed, and the opposition is usually dealt with by force. Most of the time, these regimes are dictatorships or monarchies, but sometimes they pretend to be democracies. Many people think that autocracies don't hold elections to choose their leaders. While this is true most of the time, autocratic dictators often employ democratic methods just to get power.
A hybrid regimen is a type of political system that combines elements of democracy and authoritarianism. This combination results in a blend where certain democratic processes exist in conjunction with significant restrictions on social liberties and political freedoms. Although they may hold elections or have a constitution, these democratic features are not always fully real or fair. These governments often manipulate and repress the effectiveness of their democratic institutions. This distinguishes them both from full democracies and traditional authoritarian regimens. It is somewhere in the middle of full democracies and traditional authoritarian regimens, not completely either of the two.
A military dictatorship is more of a strict form of government. This type of government exerts military control over a country, usually seizing power by overthrowing the previous rulers in a coup. Military dictatorships usually are marked by violent traits such as brutal human rights abuse, such as killings, torture, and disappearances. Some examples of countries that have been under military dictatorships are Francisco and Mohammed, Pakistan. The Pakistan country has recently reverted to civilian rule upon the death of the dictator. In other instances, military dictatorships have negotiated an end to their rule. This shows how harshly a military dictatorship is, and often ruled by country and And if often possible, countries try to elude from this strict governing.
A democracy is a type of governance in which the people have the power to rule. In the past, democracy meant political regimens where the people made decisions directly. Democracy is appreciated because it encourages political stability, personal freedoms, and the government's responsibility. It also is easier for power to change hands peacefully, and it gives people ways to address wrongs and complaints.
And to us, the United States is governed most similar to a democracy. Um, the people choose their leaders through free and frequent elections at the local, state, and national levels. This is what makes the United States a democracy. People have the right to vote, run for office, and take part in public life. This makes sure that the government's decisions are based on what the people want. The Constitution also makes sure that no one branch of government has too much authority by putting checks and balances in place. The U.S. is a democratic country because it has these fundamental features.
To us, a perfect government would include a variety of elements, but among the most important is the strong involvement of the people. Many people will not agree on what a perfect government should include. Citizens' voices are essential because if power were to be concentrated in a single authority as opposed to hearing out the citizens, the government would become too powerful and unresponsive. Throughout history, numerous instances have demonstrated the negative consequences of a government becoming too strong or overstepping its bounds. These cases often involve the suppression of individual liberties, human rights abuses, and the subversion of the rule of law. When the government's when the government becomes too powerful and fails to listen to citizens' voices, it can begin to abuse its power and fail to protect citizens' rights. Another important quality of the perfect government to us is it should have a solid military. Whenever the inevitable conflict arises, a strong military is essential to ensure the country can withstand attacks from another country's military. This comes with the traits of stability and flexibility. A perfect government should also be able to maintain order even in the face of tragedy. Adaptation to emergencies, social shifts, technological changes, and more is essential. The final quality that is essential to a solid government, in our opinion, is the rule of law. Everyone, including the citizens and government, should follow the law. Without a rule of law, abuse of power or arbitrary decisions would be inevitable.
Um, and I feel positively about the United States democracy because it lets individuals have a real say in how their government works and what happens in the future. People can make changes and have a say in key choices because they can vote, speak their minds, and hold their leaders responsible. The democratic system, on the other hand, supports open debate, peaceful changes of power, and constant progress, even while the country has problems. One of the things that makes the U.S. a democratic system is very a democratic system very inspirational is that there's always a chance to improve.
Okay, and in my opinion, I feel favorably towards the current state of the United States government. The current government is a democracy because citizens have a say in it. We are allowed to vote, participate in civic activities, and exercise freedom of speech and assembly. Our system of checks and balances ensures that no single branch of government can become too powerful, therefore protecting individual rights and maintaining accountability. Although there is always room for improvement in the United States government, I feel optimistic about the state we are currently in. And Baylor contributed to the slideshow, but she was not able to join the Zoom, so we will read her opinion for her.
So Baylor wrote that she was mostly pleased with our government today. We still see our core democratic ideas at work through free elections, peaceful transfers of power, and individual freedoms like freedom of speech. In addition, our three branches of government keep each other in check so that no one has an immoderate amount of power. However, there's always room for improvement. We can always grow as a nation, but there is also no such thing as a perfect government, especially when you have 342 many people, 342 million people to please.
In summary, after learning about the different types of government, my partner and I and Baylor came to an understanding of how the systems work and what makes them different. We both agreed on the main definitions. After comparing these types of governance to how the United States work, we decided that a democracy is the best fit for the U.S. It focuses on citizen participation, elections, and checks and balances, which are all important parts of democratic governance. We both agree that the United States is a democracy and feel the same way regarding it.
Right, and that concludes our American Government Project.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. Okay, I stopped recording it.
Okay,
Oh
it
wait,
still
no, I
says
didn't.
record.
No, I didn't.